Before we begin, I want to let you guys know that this will contain spoilers of the original Final Fantasy VII from 1997, so I don't recommend watching this past this point if you do not want to get spoiled. Thank you. Hello everyone, welcome back to the Loony Bin. My name is Loony, and today I want to discuss the possible fate of Aerith in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Now, there's a lot of speculation going around, specifically with the recent Game Informer article that came out, that more than likely Aerith is going to die. Now, this is highly speculated, highly anticipated moment in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, because if you played the original, we all know what happens. So the question is now, will it happen the same way? Will Aerith survive? What could possibly happen? Nomura had some interesting comments in regards to that scene. He stated, beginning with the original Final Fantasy VII, when we had started working on it, it was already decided from the get-go that life would be the central theme surrounding Final Fantasy VII. Nomura says, I knew that we had to depict life and death within this title. Prior to Final Fantasy VII, there have been other titles where characters have experienced tragedy, but many of them have come back or been revived in some way. But I believe that loss is something that happens unexpectedly, and it's not something so dramatic or drawn out, but it's something in which a person that you have just conversed with is suddenly gone and never to come back. I believe that the person who dies should not return in this title, and that is what we did with the original. So there's somewhat something to unpack here. Based on this, it gives you the sense, the belief that Nomura is saying that yes, they basically will have Aerith die in Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. However, he specifically states at the bottom in the last few sentences that, that's what they did with the original. But it could also be kind of like a reference to the original, such as, oh, we did that in the original, so thus we're going to do the same thing in Rebirth. So maybe it's not specifically talking about, the original, but that they're just going to do the same thing, which, it's going to hurt when it happens. Okay, so what could possibly be Aerith's fate? I have a personal theory about what might happen, but I think it's highly likely that they will still continue to have Aerith dying in that scene, specifically because though if you look at the background, you see the Whispers there, and the Whispers are the arbiters of fate. They're the ones who basically try to, in Remake, get the group in the same path as the original. They're basically trying to make sure that they don't deviate from fate. They don't deviate from that path. But when the crew basically fight the Whispers at the end of Final Fantasy VII Remake, all of a sudden, all of that future visions that they see during that entire sequence, it's no longer possible. It's no longer possible, but it's like maybe that those events will not happen anymore. Maybe events will be different now, and I think that's very, very possible. The whole thing does seem like they're trying to deviate or trying to change things from the original, because we see moments with Aerith in Remake where she kind of looks like she knows what happens in the original timeline, and this just seems like it's a different timeline that Sephiroth is trying to change, trying to maybe mess Cloud up with. It's very strange. Like, maybe this is similar to how possibly Sephiroth knows about what happens in the original timeline, and he wants to change that for where he becomes victorious. It's very strange. It's possible that there's just so many timelines happening that it's eventually going to converge in some sort of way where the events of the original will probably not happen. Now, do I think that Aerith will die in Rebirth? Personally, I say yes and no. So this is where my theory goes with. My theory is that the Aerith from that you mostly adventure in Rebirth, the one that adventures with Cloud, Tifa, Barret, and all that goes through all this adventure, she will die. But that doesn't mean Aerith in general will die. Now, why do I say this? I say this because when we also see in the new trailer that we see Zack trying to converse with what looks like a possibly comatose state Aerith. Because we did see in a previous trailer where, we see, Tifa, Barret, Aerith, all of them like getting onto gurneys and getting, flown into a helicopter, assuming that they're dead. Then we see in the new trailer Biggs talking, and then we see that, Tifa, Barret, all those characters are dead. Yet we do see a comatose state Aerith. So my theory is that while the Aerith that is traveling with Cloud and Co. is probably going to die in the same way she does in the original. That doesn't mean that Aerith will die. She will still stay alive, but it will be the one that Zack is talking to. I think that Aerith stays alive. And at some point, I fully believe that all the timelines will converge, and then eventually what happens is that you get the full story of Final Fantasy VII. There has been, reports about how like the story of Final Fantasy VII, the original, was not the complete story. That what Nomura is doing right now is fulfilling that complete story, and the way it seems like, at least to me, it seems like what he's doing is trying to converge all these timelines together just to bring you that full story, that complete story. So I think it's honestly the way they might go, or at least the way I think they will go. I don't know, it's all just a theory. It's also just an opinion of mine. So don't take it as, as it's a canon event, But I think what they're gonna do is that they will kill, like I said, the Aerith that is, joining Cloud and stuff. But the Aerith from Zack's timeline is gonna stay alive, because if she died, why would they have a comatose state Aerith, or like an Aerith sleeping in a bed where Zack is trying to wake her up? Why would they have her there? What wouldn't they, be along with the others? It just seems weird that they show that shot. Definitely does seem like Aerith is in both of Zack's timeline and Cloud's timeline. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how like Rebirth puts all of this together. I fully believe that the best thing that they could do to at least make everyone happy would be in that situation, the way I think it could occur. But at the end of the day, I can understand why people will probably not be happy with that. They want the original to stay as the original. They want Aerith to be the sacrifice so that she could summon Holy to stop, Meteor. I do think there's also one other thing we need to understand. This game is going to be highly focused on Aerith and Aerith's relationship with the rest of the party. Why? Because they want you to feel in a certain way when you get to know Aerith. You get to see what she can do. You get to, have, fun with certain events, certain, conversation choices. They want you to basically focus and, appreciate Aerith, appreciate, how much of a kind person she is, and get to know her a lot more. Because at the end of the day, if they, do that scene, it's going to hurt you a lot more. Like, oh my goodness, this is going to hurt you a lot. And that's the whole point. I think that's why they have been, like, showing you more and more on Aerith's side of a lot of these trailers. Because they want you to experience, they want you to feel, they want you to get to know Aerith. They want you to get close to Aerith so that when that scene possibly happens, you are... it just strikes you in the heart so badly. Just it's gonna be so painful. You might cry. I think that's what they're heading for, and I think that's why they've been showing a lot of trailers this way, because this Rebirth is going to be focused highly on Aerith because of where they basically are saying it's going to end. So it's going to be very interesting to see, how much committed the game is towards, your relationship with Aerith, because it should hit you hard. It should really hit you hard. And of course, they have stated before that they want this game to be very much like The Empire Strikes Back, where, all things good with, the good side, everything's going well, they're doing this, doing that, and then just everything starts hitting the fan, like all this bad stuff happens, so that it makes you feel like, all the hope is gone, because now the heroes are now in this tragedy, because, shit just happens. It happens. So I think that's another part in how they're going to present this to make it feel like Aerith's eventual death might hurt a lot, because, everything's gonna go well. Aerith, you may even get the feeling that, Aerith might actually survive this, and then all of a sudden, done. She dies. So I think that's where that's why they're headed this way. That's why they're making it very Aerith focused, because they want you to feel for her when the eventual scene happens. But I still believe in my theory, where the Aerith that is traveling with Cloud is going to die, but the Aerith that is in Zack's timeline that we see in the trailer is going to be alive. So they kind of, do it that way. I fully understand why people won't necessarily like it though, because it's just like it's a cheesy way out of bringing back someone to life, but not also do. It's a very cheesy thing to do. I know a lot of people won't like it. I kind of hope they don't do it that way, but we will see. But I think it kind of feels like that's where they're headed. So it's going to be. I'm sorry. I just can't wait for this. I really can't. So it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be very interesting on how Nomura does it. And Nomura's statement from the Game Informer magazine is very intriguing, because all it says is basically that Aerith will die. Right? Because he values that an unexpected death holds a lot more emotional weight to a story, and that an unexpected death really hit the players hard, especially if you go through the original. It really hit you hard because no one expected that. Like, it was one of the most shocking moments in gaming history. It's one of the more iconic moments in gaming history. So, to not do that in Rebirth would probably be a disservice. Now, will people be upset if they do it that way? I don't know. It's up to you guys. Leave, post in the comments below if that will make you upset that, yes, that the Aerith and Cloud's timeline dies, but the Aerith and Zack's timeline that we see in the trailer survives. It's very going to be interesting to see what you guys think. I don't know exactly where they're going to go with this. It's still one of the most highly anticipated things. I can't wait for Rebirth. So it's going to be very, very fascinating. Nomura has this way of just really making you just confused, and keeps you on your toes, because you just never know what might happen, So we'll see. Let me know what you think of my theory of what I believe will happen in Rebirth. Do you have your own theory? Please let me know in the comments below. Please like this video, and please subscribe to the channel if you want to see more Final Fantasy VII content. And join me on my twitch.tv/LoonyPoundCake, or even on YouTube here. I stream also multi-stream on YouTube as well, where I plan on doing a road to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, where I replay Final Fantasy VII Remake and try to 100%. So yeah, thank you so much. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.